want to change the position along x-axis and y-axis, we have rotate. Rotate is also same. Rotate is used to rotate by specified degrees. If you want to rotate by specified angle, then you can use the option rotate. So rotate by specified degrees. So you have the same options like rotate x, rotate y. So we learnt about translate yesterday. Translate is changing the position here. Along x and y axis, it is changing the position. That is translate. How we can handle the translate. We have another option, that is rotate. So generally, how we can manage rotate? So here, instead of translate, I am using transform. Transform have rotate. Rotate same, rotate x, rotate y, rotate. By how many degrees? So rotate 180 degrees. So we are giving this. That means when mouse pointer is over, then it will rotate 180 degrees like this. And again it will come to normal. You can rotate by specified angle. And you said some 360 degree. And it rotates 360 degrees. So it can rotate. Now basically, if you give minus, it will be anti-clockwise, counterclockwise. Counterclockwise, it will be like this. You can put clockwise and counterclockwise. You can rotate by specified. One important problem is there. You cannot have both. Suppose I have transform, so translate some 100 pixel and 200 pixel. I am writing both. You can observe that now only one is working. Only one is working. Rotate is not working. Only the latest option will work. If you want to both, then you have another concept called matrix. We have to use matrix. That I will show you. Initially transform, we have translate, we have rotate, we have translate and rotate. Another option, so in 2D we have, you have scale. Similarly, scale x, scale y. You have scale means you have scale x, you have scale y and scale. Scale is adjusting the height and width. That means instead of that, I defined scale. Scale as 1. That means scale is increasing the size by 1%. So that means it is increasing the size. Default is 1. I keep as 2. That means 2 times the normal size. And on mouse over, it will increase it. 2 times the normal size. That means 200%. It can increase it. You can increase the only width, only height. You can write like scale x. That means only width will be increased. You can increase only height. You can write scale y. Or you can use both x and y. You write scale, it will affect both. It will affect both. So, excuse. You can adjust the height and width. You can adjust the rotate. You can adjust the position. There is another option. We have skew. Skew is nothing but tilt. Tilting by specified degree. We can tilt by specified degree. So that you can do that by using skew. So that means here I am just using skew. Skew, so by how much degrees? 45 degree. We have to write DEG, degree. 45 degree, then you can see that it will tilt by 45 degree. Tilting, you can tilt 45 degrees. Similarly, you can tilt some minus 45 degrees opposite direction. That is tilting your image by specified degrees. That you can manage by using skew. So transforms, we have these options: translate, rotate, scale, and skew. By using that, we can change the effects. But all cannot work. So any one option you can apply on that. If you want multiple effects to apply, then what you can do is, for multiple effects, you can define matrix. There is an option called matrix. By using matrix, you can apply first scale X. You can apply skew Y. You can apply scale Y. You can apply translate X. So you can use translate Y. Like this. Only these options are available. Matrix allows you to apply the combination of like this. That means first value is x-axis scale. For example, so you see how many values are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now here I am defining. So transform, I will put as matrix. Matrix 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In that, first one is scale x-axis. That means 200. So that means you can see. So that means scale means size. Okay, I said 2. Okay, scale x is 2. That means it will have to adjust the width of that. But you have to mention the size. Like suppose 1.5, that is width. And height I am defining as some 1.5, like this. That means matrix, we are adjusting that. But still the effects, you cannot see it is working. Why? Because in order to apply matrix, we need one more combination to handle actually. The combination is nothing but, first you are applying to image. And directly on image you want these effects. Matrix cannot apply like hover. I am not using any hover here. Suppose I am using an ID. So ID for this image as ID as img1. And here I am accessing hash img1. That means that is the effect we are configuring for that. Generally, when you access an image and access that image ID and apply the effect here, that effect can be applied onto the content. But you need all combinations, how to define. So the matrix requires combinations, how we can handle. I will show you a better example here. See, that means sometimes even if you apply the effects, you will feel like it's not working for you because situation is not matching actually. All effects cannot run on the same situation. We need different situations. For example, see, I will use a div, and that div ID is some div1. Okay, and here we are defining some matrix demo. And I am adding here style. So wherever div is present, first apply width as some 300 pixel. And initial size will be there. Height as 100 pixel. Background color as yellow. Like this we define. And border as 2 pixels solid red. Now you see this will be there for the content. That is the option actually. I want to adjust that and apply the effect. That means wherever div is present, we have to access div1. That means on the div1, so this ID should use transform matrix 0.5, that is x-axis 0 0 and some 1.5 and some 200 and 200, like this I define. That means we have the values. First value is for scale x, second value is for skew x, then scale y, translate x, translate y. That's the value. You can see the position changes now. That means its height, width, everything changes. Actually, suppose here I defined, so hover, like this I am defining hover. So on mouse over, it will apply that. I will put a transition time, transition 2 seconds, and here also transition, so 2 seconds. That means it will change that here and it will display. Height, width and position is also changing. We can handle this in this way. That is matrix. We can handle with the matrix. So matrix is used for displaying such effects. Mostly in interviews for a fresher, they may ask about matrix because others are very simple. Translate, transform, all others are very simple. The matrix is important to understand. So that matrix we can handle. These are 2D, two-dimensional. We have 3D effects, three-dimensional. 3D also, CSS 3D also, three-dimensional. Transform also same will be there, but only one option extra will be, they will have x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. That means they will x, y and z-axis will be there. Z-axis will be there. X, Y, Z axis will be there. That means an object looks like it is having three-dimensional. So that means it looks like three-dimensional. That means this is X and Y and this is Z axis, means it looks like this. That means object can have a three-dimensional effect like this, three-dimensional. It look like this. That is the Z axis effect. Due to that Z axis only, it can behave like that. That is three-dimensional actually. So we can have three-dimensional effect. We can configure that three-dimensional effect for the content. So that means 2D is only X and Y. But here we will have a Z also. So that it looks like it is three-dimensional. So you have to design in the same options are there. So we have translate 3D. Similarly, rotate 3D. We have like scale 3D and skew 3D and matrix 3D. Same options. Matrix also 3D. So if I show one, you can try all others also. Same. Only just because all are similar, just third dimension you should add. Okay, for example, see, I am designing. For that we need to create a proper design. Then you can understand. So let's create here a div, and here we will put class as container and img. So class is equal to, so some transform effect. I will give a class transform effect. And image source is some images slash we have assets slash speaker.jpg. We are creating an image and we are configuring that transform effect. Okay, now let's add some effect for this. So what we are doing is we are defining the effect for container. Container width is 100 pixel, height also 100 pixel, and border as 5 pixel, and solid and dark cyan something. And the background we will put an image URL. So background image URL. So it is from assets speaker.jpg. Okay. And background size 100 pixels. Okay. And background repeat as no repeat. Okay. And margin as 20 pixels I give it. That is the option we defined. That is the 3D option we configured. Now what we need to do is we need to apply the effects. This is just appearance. That is just appearance. For container, we have an image. So img, so that width is 100 and height also 100. Image height width 100 and the border as 1 pixel. So dotted border and dark cyan. Okay. And opacity means transparency. Opacity we will give 0.8. Transparency can be from 0 to 1. I give it 0.8. Okay. Now initially transform effect we will give transform. So we will give translate 3D. X-axis 0 pixels, y-axis 0 pixels, z-axis 0 pixel, and transition as 2 seconds. Now we are changing this. So transform effect and transform. So we have translate 3D. Suppose we are giving x-axis 25 pixel, y-axis 25 pixel, and 100 pixel, that is z-axis. And transition 2 seconds. Transition 2 seconds. And you can see now this will be like this. And that should happen on hover. That means here on hover I will give it. You observe now that is the image. When I move mouse onto it, you can see that it will be coming up like this. That is 3-dimensional 3D. It looks like it is coming out of that area. 3D 3-dimensional. You can keep shadow effects anything. You can keep shadow effects anything and define. You can see it looks like coming out of the page area. It will be better to give such options, right? That means if background image is there, then you will clearly observe that. And you can see that it's displayed in this way. That is the 3rd dimension. That means you can adjust that. Suppose 50 pixel z-axis. That means it will move only 50 pixel. Right. So we can use rotate. The same option. That means instead of translate, that means I want to rotate. So I want to rotate 2D. So rotate 3D. In rotate 3D, we have to define degrees. 0 degree X, 0 degree Y, and 0 degree so Z axis. All are 0 degree. We are defining all 0 degree. X, Y, Z. And here, so we need to change that. Rotate. We are using rotate 3D. Rotate 3D. In rotate 3D, so that is how many degrees? So we need to define how many degrees. For example, I'm saying 0, 0 degree X, 0 degree Y, and here Z axis 180 degree. I'm just writing like this. And you can see that it is going to display the effect on that. But here, so only one direction we are rotating. That means rotate. So 180 degree here we are configuring. Now other options we need to mention how much degree we want here. That means this is, suppose if I write 0, 0, that's enough. A degree, your wish, you can change it. So here we are writing, so how much degree, X axis, Y axis and Z axis. So we are writing rotate 3D, only 180 degree I given. That's not applied to this, because generally we need to define other effects also. X, Y, Z and degree. 3 options, 4 options will be there. Here you define X axis, Y axis, Z axis, but there will be 4 options actually. That means rotate 3D means it will have X, Y, Z. How much direction? Then degree you have to mention. That's how we have to use. Not X degree, Y degree, Z degree. So you have to write in this way. So how many values will be there? 0, 1, X axis, Y axis, Z axis, and finally degree how much? Initially that is. Here also what we are defining 0, 1, 2, 3. And here 180 degree. So like this we are defining. X, Y, Z and degrees. Now you can see the rotation of that should be 180 degree, but it is not rotating 180 degree because X axis how much, Y axis how much, Z axis also how much you have to tell. Suppose X axis 2. So X axis 2, you can see it looks like this. On mouse over it will look like this, 180 degree. It is only on X axis. Only on X axis it is rotating. So, and here Y axis I defined as 1. That means Y axis we configured as 1. Then you can see it will be in this, it is rotating in this Y axis. In this direction it is going to rotate. And now you can see the third angle will be displayed there. Third angle will be displayed. Generally rotation will happen only X and Y, but this is Z axis also. So suppose I defined as some 360 degree, 360 degree, then it will be in this way. It will be in this way. How much so effect you want to configure. So the rotate how many times? Here you can see the X2, Y1, Y also 2. Then you can see it will be in this way. Y also it will rotate 2 times. And Z axis here we are defining, suppose 1. That means Z axis it will be in this way. It will rotate in a different Z direction also. It depends on how you configure your effects. You can try all the angles. You can try all the options and define them. So rotate is similar. So rotate is also same option here. We are configuring, so the rotate options also in the similar way. Right. Technically, so third dimension is important to understand. For that reason only I am using that background actually. If I don't use background, you cannot understand the third dimension. That's the reason everywhere if you apply these effects, you cannot see that properly working. But actually they are working, you cannot observe that. That's the reason you need a combination, then you can understand. Same other options you can try. Suppose scale. How you can put the scale? You have to define scale 3D. Scale is size. Scale 3D. In scale 3D, X, Y, Z. X is 1, Y is 1, Z is 1. And similarly here we are defining scale 3D. So x is 1.5, so y is also 1.5 and z also 1.5, like that. And you can see the size will increase on all the directions. It will increase and it will display like this. That is basically how you can adjust the content from the center. These effects are very important to handle. So you can manage these effects and handle these effects by using 2D and 3-dimensional. Others you can try by your own all the effects how to handle them. All other effects and options you can try by yourself. So same like 2D. I will post some examples into the classroom. You can try those options. This is CSS 2D and 3D. Now another important is CSS transition. Actually transition we were giving 2 seconds. The transition we are giving 2 seconds. But actually transition have 3 options. So transition we have options like, so transition have timing, transition have duration, and the transition have the other attributes. Like what are the attributes you can use? Transition, transition delay, transition duration, and the transition property, and the transition timing function. Now transition is shorthand. All can be applied by using transition. Actually we were using transition, but we can apply all these separately. What is delay? What is duration? What is transition property? You can see them. For example, what are the options here? So how we can apply that? Let's see. Means what is meant by delay, duration, property, timing function. Because we were using only transition directly, but it has a lot of sub attributes also. Okay, let's put that in a simple way. To understand those options separately, I'm just adding a div and class as some section. Okay, and inside the div I will put here class as some box. In that we have text effects, something like, okay, test effects. Okay, and here we will put the styles. So I will give section width is some 300 pixels and the height is equal to some 150 pixel. Okay, and box I am defining width is 100 pixel and height also 100 pixel, and the background color. So background color I will define as red. Okay, and the color as white. Okay, and the font size I will give as 20 pixels. So 20 pixel font size, and the left some 0 pixel, left 0 pixel, and the top also some 0 pixel. And you know that we need to give position. So position I given as absolute, and transition we have duration. Transition duration 2 seconds. That is actually option. Okay, that is transition duration. On hover, that means the same box hover. When mouse pointer is over, so width is 300 pixel, height so 150 pixel only, and background color is yellow, okay, and color as black, okay, and font size as 40 pixel, okay, and left 200 pixel and top 0 pixel only. Position absolute only, position absolute, and transition duration is 2 seconds. Actually, this is transition duration already we learned. When I move mouse onto it, you can see it will display like this. So it will display the effect in this way. So it will display the effect in this way. You can see that all are changing. All options are changing. You can see all options are changing. That means what options are changing? Width and height is changing, font size is changing, color is also changing. All are changing. And actually what happens, it immediately performs that effect. Immediately performs that effect. Due to that, some problem I am facing here. The problem is nothing but on mouse over and mouse out, immediately it is applying. Due to that, some effect is not clear. See, it is like shaking. Because my mouse pointer is moving over and out, that makes it confusion. Because immediately it should apply some effect on hover, remove the effect on out. Then what you can do is, you can simply put an option. So transition delay. Transition delay as suppose 3 seconds. Now what will happen is, here also transition delay is 3 seconds. Transition delay means, duration means to complete all these effects how much time? 2 seconds. Delay means to start how much time? That means, do you want to start immediately or do you want to wait for some time? That means when mouse pointer is hover, it is applying these effects immediately. But when mouse point is hover, it should wait for 3 seconds, then apply. That means you can see when I move the mouse pointer over it, it will not be affected immediately. After 3 seconds, that effect will come. After 3 seconds, that effect is going to apply. Not immediately. It is not applying immediately. After 3 seconds, it will apply. And I move it. After 3 seconds, it will go. That looks better. Why? Because sometimes, generally, what you do is some marquee is sliding. In a page, a lot of animations will be there. Accidentally, your mouse went there. Then immediately that effect works. We need to keep it waiting, not to immediately work. So you can handle that by using transition duration and transition delay. Delay means it will not do the work immediately. It will keep waiting for some time. That is important. Another option is, we have transition property. Transition property means you can see how many effects are applied, how many effects are changing. So width is changing, height is changing, background color is changing, color is changing, and font size is changing, left is changing, top position, these are common. I want only width and height to apply. I want only width and height to apply. I don't want others. Then what you can do is, here you can write an option, that is transition property. You can write transition property. That means here you can write transition property. Out of all these properties, which properties should affect? on hover. We can write transition property. We can write the property like so, width and height like this. That means it will not change all effects. It will change only width and height. Now, when you apply this, when I move this, you can see only width and height. So other effects are not working. That is only width and height. That means you can set here. Suppose I am writing here also. That means transition property, width and height. That means it is going to apply only that width and height. Actually, you can write anything. For example, suppose I want to apply transition property. I don't want to apply background color. I want to apply all others. I don't want background color, or I don't want to apply even the font size. That means here I say font size. We are writing those properties. Which property you don't want to apply? I don't want to apply width. I don't want to apply height. I don't want to apply the font size. Then you can see that only background color is changing. Only background color is changing. And it is very less duration. So even transition delay is not working here because we said only one should change. Only one should change. So you can define that. Suppose if you don't use this, what will happen? It will change all the effects. It will change all the effects. It is going to change all effects. That means font will change, color will change, everything will affect. But I want to apply only that. Any specific property we don't want. Then obviously you can define here transition property. I don't want to apply width. I want to apply all others. Then width is not affected. Height is affected. Color is affected. Font size is affected. You can apply all those effects there. So that depends on situation, which property you want. Actually, people individually can manage them, or simply all together you can write transition. So you can just put a transition and you can write all the properties because it is shorthand way. You can write all the properties. There is another important option, that is transition timing function. Transition timing function is nothing but it is ready-made effect. Transition timing function is a ready-made effect. Ready-made effect means just like if you know PowerPoint, actually I think you know PowerPoint have animation. In PowerPoint, if I want to apply some effect to any text or any content, if I want to apply effect, suppose I want to apply effect. In PowerPoint, what you can do is simply we can select that, and here we can go to, so transitions and animations will be there. When you go to animations, ready-made effects are there. You can select one ready-made effect. Automatically that effect will be applied. So you select one effect, it will be applied. That means how much time it has to take, in which direction it should rotate. All these options, these are ready-made effects. Such effects are present in CSS also. Those effects are called timing functions. CSS timing functions. Timing functions are nothing but these are ready-made effects which you can apply so that they have automatic some effect. For example, see ready-made effects. You can apply some ready-made effects. Okay, what is ready-made effect? See, suppose I have a div, some ID, some effect. Okay, and for this div I will give a height, width and all. Width is equal to 100 and height is also 100, and background color as red. Okay, and here we will just put some transition time. So transition, so that is 2 seconds. Okay. Fine. On div hover, so when mouse is over, so what should happen? So what should happen? Its width should be 800 pixel. Okay. Now observe carefully. Generally, when I move the mouse pointer onto it, you can see that its width will be 800 pixels. So when I move the mouse onto it, its width will be 800 pixels. But how it is going to 800 pixels? You see, it have a constant speed from left to right. Constant speed from left to right. You can add timing function. So effects, ash effect. Okay. Here I am using transition timing function. You can see ready-made functions are present. Suppose I given ease in, that is one ready-made function. What is ease in? Ease in is nothing but when I move the mouse onto it, then you can observe it will slowly start and increase the speed towards end. That means I given as 1000 pixel. Observe carefully. When I move mouse pointer onto it, it will slowly start and towards the end speed will increase. Speed will increase towards the end. It will increase. Slowly it is starting. But that is ease in. Suppose you are writing ease in out. That means you can see that it will be slowly start. In the middle it will have fast and slowly end. Middle it will be fast. Slowly start, middle it will fast and slowly it ends. That is the ready-made effect. You can better see steps also. Steps. I will give as 10 steps. You observe now. I will move the mouse onto it. It will increase by 10 steps. It will go by 10 steps. That means this is a ready-made effect. These are all timing functions. Timing functions means ready-made functions. We can apply that. So that means you can configure the timing functions. So suppose I said, so 20, then you can see it will be like 20. In 20 steps, it will increase and it will decrease. So I can just give as some 3 steps. In 3 steps, it will be increased and decreased. Like this. It will display in this way. I am just giving for div. You can apply for any content. That means you can add this for any content. That means there can be some information. You can increase that for the font, paragraphs, font size. Anywhere you can apply that. It depends on how you have the content and what content you are having. It's not like you are applying only for a div or an image. Anywhere you can configure and apply this effect. So this is timing function. Ready-made, so many functions are present. You can try all these functions. You see, all these are ready-made functions. And you select one function. So you select one function. So, and according to that function, some ready-made effects will be there. The change in the speed, the change in the directions will be changing. So ready-made, so many effects will be there. These are called transition timing functions. We have the transition timing functions. This is basically used with transition. But what is problem in transition is, so you are applying the effect, starting how it should be, ending how it should be. It's not like that. You can give effects in such a way, you can tell the positions, like when it reaches half, it should rotate. When it reaches 30%, it should decrease the size. When it reaches 10%, it should decrease. That means initial effect, ending effect, final effect, in between how it should affect, all that you can design by yourself. We generally call them as animations. And animations are defined by using a concept called keyframes. What is the meaning of keyframe? Actually, this keyframe concept came from flash animations. We call flash animations. Keyframes is with the help of keyframes, we can create effects. Keyframes means I will tell you what is keyframe in animation terminology. Generally, the animation softwares. So many animation softwares will be there actually. And those animation softwares usually do animations in this way. For example, if we will have frames. This is frame. We call them as frames. That means animation is done frame by frame actually. So these are so many frames we are having. So how animation is created generally in this concept is, so suppose see here we have frame 1. This is frame 1. So similarly frame 2. So frame 3. Like this we have so many frames. So we have so many frames. Frame 3. So frame 4, frame 5 and frame 6 like this. How do we do animation is usually, so we have some 7 frames. In the first frame, suppose we have an object, some star. So we have an object here. That is in the first frame we have an object. Now what happens is, in the second frame, the same object will be there, but its position is here. And in the third frame, that object will be here. That means its position will be somewhere here, like this. That means the object is changing from one frame to another frame. And in fourth frame, that object will be again here. And some fifth frame, so the object will be here. And in the sixth frame, object will be here. And in the seventh frame, the object can be here. So outside like this. Now when you run all these frames one after another, then object actually looks like it is moving like this. It is moving in this way. Object looks like it is moving in this way. This is called frame by frame animation. And these frames are called keyframes. We call them as keyframes. So animation softwares do animations in this way. Now in CSS also we can create like this. In CSS also we can create like this. That means we can tell in a first stage where it should be, in third stage where it should be, in last stage where it should be. Like that we can write frames so that rest of work it will take care. This is called keyframes actually. This is used in our CSS. So by using keyframes, we can create animations. So keyframes are very important to control all this. Generally, how we design the keyframes? What are the options available? Let's see. Keyframes actually contains a simple syntax. We have to write keyframes and identifier name ID. In that we have to write from what effects. That means from means initial state. And we have to write to means final state. So from initial state what effect, final state what effects. You can write in between also, like you can write like, so from at 0% what it should be, at 30%, 20% what effects it should have, at 70% what effects it should have. We can write like this also. So we can create animations. So let's see one simple option. So how we can manage that, means how keyframes are used. The concept of keyframe and working with the keyframe. You see now I am just using here div. In that I will put a class as container. And in this we will put here a heading, some CSS animations. Okay, and I want to apply some effects. So first I will write container. Container, so overflow. We will give overflow as hidden. That means anything extra goes out of the container, it should be hidden. And we are writing keyframes at the net, keyframes, and identifier name. Suppose slide in. Slide in is the identifier name. That is the identifier name. Any name you can give. Okay. Here from. That means initial state. What effects you want? Initial state, what effect you want? So better don't use a lot of symbols and special characters. From margin left. Margin left. Left margin 100%. That means it is completely right side. Okay. Transform scale. Scale 3 times larger. That means in the beginning, the object will be completely right side. 100% left margin means completely right side. And the size will be 3%. When it comes to 2 means final stage, margin left, it should be 0%. And transform scale, it should be 1. That's how it need to. Now, this is keyframe. It will not work. You can see that keyframe is not working because you have to apply that to this heading. That means whatever keyframes you design, you can design any number of keyframes like that. Slide in, slide out like that. You have to apply that to your heading. That means heading should use animation name. Animation name. Which animation it should use? It should use the animation slide in. That is the animation name. That means the identifier name you have to use. Heading should use the animation coming from these keyframes. What is the keyframe name you have to apply? And how much duration? Animation duration. You can use transition also. Animation duration 5 seconds it should take. Okay, that is the duration. You can use animation delay. Animation delay some 3 seconds. So immediately it will not start. It will wait for 3 seconds. You can write animation delay. So heading is going to use this keyframe. And observe now. So when I refresh that, it should apply that effect to that particular heading. You can see it will be like this. That means when I refresh, you can see that after 3 seconds, so it will come from the right side and it will display like this. Only one time it is working. Only one time it is working. You can see it is displaying like this. You can put anything, image or text or anything. For example, I am adding percentage. Suppose you can add in between also. That means suppose when it reaches 75%, what should happen? So font size, I will keep as suppose 300%. Okay. And margin left as 25%. Like that. Suppose I am defining width as suppose 150%. Like this I am giving. Now here instead of transform, you can give width. So width is suppose 300%. 300% width. We are adjusting only width. Here also width will be 100%. You can use width or transform anything you want. That means now you see from margin left 100, width 300, it will apply the effect in this way. You can see that it is applying the effect in this way. It will take 3 seconds time. You can see this is at 75%. It will be like this. Now it will come in this way. So we can add different effects. You can change the transition delay time. That means I don't want the delay time. And if you don't use the delay time, it will be immediately applied. And you can see it is immediately applied. It will be like this. At 75%, it will be changing its size. You can also make this animation iterate continuously. That means you can say animation, iteration count, I want infinite, or I want 3 times, I want 4 times, your wish. Currently it is working only one time. If I give infinite, then you can see it is continuously coming. Otherwise it will come only once. You can give animation direction also. You can give animation direction. Animation direction means you can write here. So animation direction as alternate. Then you can see it will have an alternate direction, means right to left. Again from left to right. It will have an alternate direction. It will be displayed in this way. You can add this for anything. For images, you can keep it the delay timing and configure for any content. It's not like you are giving only for this. So you can add this for any kind of options. So different options you can define and configure. For example, let's keep, suppose inside the container, I am keeping an image. Source is equal to assets, and in that we have speaker.jpg. Initial width is 100 and height also 100. That is image. And I want to apply here. So some first keyframes. How to write the keyframes? Let's see one more time. I am writing here @ so @ keyframes and identifier name. Identifier name I will give as rotate effect. Okay, any name you can give. And from how you want. So margin left as 100%. So transform rotate how many degree? 180 degree. 360 degree we will give, suppose 360 degree. Then to what effect it should have. So margin left, it will be 0%. And transform, so it should rotate 0 degree. It should be 0 degree. That's what. So and we want to apply to the image. That means for image, so width is 20%, and we say height is also some 70% width and height. And animation name is rotate effect. That is the animation name. What keyframe name you give it. And animation duration 5 seconds. Okay. And animation iteration count infinite. Okay. Animation direction delay, direction as alternate direction. And you can use animation timing function also. That means animation have animation timing function. Animation timing function, like you can use like ease in, ease out. All these options are same. Just like transition time, ready-made. Speed will be controlled. And you observe now here. So that is for image. And that's how it is going to apply for the image. It is going to apply for the image. So image is going to run in the direction. Image is going to configure in the direction and display. That's it is going to manage. These are all animation functions. So we call them as keyframes. By using the keyframes, we can design in this way. Now, technically, 2D, 3D, these are used in different options. You can control with JavaScript also. Later, when we learn JavaScript, on button click, on mouse over, the animation should start, animation should stop. we should pause the animation. For that, we need jQuery, JavaScript. We can control them. That is 2D and 3D. Now, next, after understanding all these animations, so we need to know about another point. That is how we can create the viewports and use the viewports. Already, that means how we can configure the responsive design. Already we know so many things in responsive design. We learned images can be responsive, flex can be responsive, display flex. We learned about flex box, that is also responsive. Columns is also responsive. So all are responsive only. So we table responsive. We created a table also responsive, width and height percentages. And you can have an option called viewport. So that makes some more options to handle in responsive. Already several options responsive we learned. Some additional options are there, how to handle viewport and create a responsive design. Already I showed you display flex boxes so that they fit according to the browser. Similarly, some more points we have to know to create responsive design. That we will see in the next session. Media queries. So then we can complete that concept. Then tomorrow we will finish the CSS part. And Monday, after tomorrow we finish, we can start with Bootstrap. I will give you some exercises. Then we will see working with Bootstrap. Okay, right.